So in this video, I just wanted to talk about a little bit of the comparison of the Nexus. I'm gonna start with the new one because this is where we're at now. And I wrote a couple notes and went to watch back some of the older videos of the older Nexus because they changed so much. And the older Nexus is way bigger than what we have now, with more mobility and being able to have more freedom to move around and just different things that really caught my attention and caught my eye. Even some particular space in a particular area. Well, I'll say two areas that caught my attention that I thought would be public spaces in this game, but I don't think they are. They still aren't. And I was thinking that they would probably be something. Maybe they got scrapped. Maybe plans got changed. Who knows what happened? But I'm gonna talk about the old Nexus last because this is where we're at now. Now, one thing I'm gonna do, I want to see who's in the server because if it's a packed server, it'll increase the chances of me crashing. And it's not, thankfully. It's only 5 people in here, and then me, making it six. 6 players in the Nexus. As packed as this space usually is. But not many people are online. But I'm glad because now I can just probably be able to move, hopefully, in succession, and probably talk about everything I want to talk about and be able to move around. So I'm not gonna stay in one spot. But let's start talking about the new Nexus. And the Nexus, let me just say this: the Nexus has always been the go-to space when people go on. It doesn't matter how long it's been since you've been playing the game, or just it's the hangout spot. It's the most populated space in the entire game. It's been like that for months on end. It's been like that for years, to be honest, because not everyone's going to stay in these spaces for very long. So I mean, if it's not the Nexus that's going to be packed, most people are going to be at the alley. And then during the old days, when the game was first coming out, people would always go to the beach to be able to hang out. It was the Nexus, the bowling alley, or the beach. And then if anything, the older Lee Park can be associated as another space that people will go to now. But the new Lee Park now, in comparison to the old one, for example, the older Lee Park looks so much better because they had that house, the boat where you can ride around a circle, and they had even a private island that you could be able to hang out in if you take the boat all the way around. When it comes full circle, when you go full circle, it's like a full rotation, you run into the boat, you can dock and be able to hang out on that private island with friends and stuff like that and chat it up. But it was just things like that that really stood out. Even though it's the leaf part, the old leaf part is not what is not the Nexus. It still can be said to be a likable space in comparison to the newer leaf part. So I do miss the older leaf part as well as the old Nexus, and I'm definitely gonna say I prefer the old Nexus than what we have now. But let's start talking about this. The major difference that I can say just as I'm running around and just looking around, let's bring the camera out, is that, see if I can move, everything is so much more closer. See, let's just take a look. And what does this mean? MDG. This is just going to take you home or to the regular, I like to call it the Harbor Studio because it looks almost identical to it, but it's just an extra room and then the second floor. But what does MDG stand for? I never even found that out. But just as you can see, this is the personal space logo. So just take a look. See how everything is closer? Everything is so much more closer. So let's start. You got the home, you got the shopping mall. I thought this was going to be a mall, but this is not a public space. This could be a public space where people can be able to explore. Like you can go shopping and be able to go inside the mall to explore, and then you can open up to the different shops and purchasable items that people can get. Sell certain locomotion and certain pieces of clothing for all the shops that you have on the shopping menu for the shortcut. People can hang out in the mall and be able to explore. So it opens up more for the player to get involved in and to be able to explore. I would like to see a public space mall, a mall public space where they can do all that. I'm gonna join them because you got the bowling alley right here. He's doing that. See, he's looking around trying to explore. You got the bowling alley. Got the bowling alley. I already showed the shop. The shop, you don't really have to go in there mainly go in there because you got the shortcut by pressing the the options button on your PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 controller and be able to shop that way and get what you want and explore the concepts that way. It won't make any difference. So they didn't really need this. This doesn't even need to be there when you already have all this. You have a shortcut to access the menu to shop. See how everything even more space is closer. This is Zero District. That's the shortcut for Bowling Alley. Right across the bridge, that's Lee Park. You got the Dome or the nightclub, whatever you choose to call it. You move around, going over here by the other Santa Claus and presents. See the pumpkin, and then you have the raid space. The pumpkin here takes you to Ghost Town. This particular space takes you into the cube or the raid space, which is almost similar to the dome, but it plays different music. See, and then not even just the spaces being closer, and the differences. This used to be a public space. This is the Super Kickers League's public space that used to be around, and I still have the old video for that if you guys want to see that. But they cut it down into a short session now, so now the player can be able to play the mini game because that's basically all the basically all the public space really offered was just a mini game where you can earn rewards, and it also promotes their game Super Kickers League that released on the Switch, and I think it was another platform. The cinema is something else that's a major difference in the new Nexus. I think that would be uh, a popular selection for when it came out. But now no one else really goes to the cinema anymore and the movie theater because it caused a lot of issues. And when people would come in and go in and out to try to load into the space, it would cause loading loops, and people were trapped for almost for quite some time until the game got patched. But it's still a great space. I love the classics. I love these classic movies. Even though I haven't seen all of them, I loved it when they did it for the Halloween update. The Night of the Living Dead Black and White classic used to come on and air in the cinema. I loved watching that. I never get tired of watching that. But I think something that stands out, not even outside of the cinema, is the dance floor because now that's the new hangout space, the new space where you stand around and be able to chat with everybody instead of the staircase. So we move from the staircase, we move to the from the staircase to the dance floor, and even sometimes vice versa, it'll go back and forth, so depending on where everybody's located. So if most people are by the staircase, people are gonna come over there. So here's another shortcut to the steampunk space. This little rotating globe. All these spaces are really close by. Across the bridge, where you see almost like this castle looking thing, almost a castle object or a building. You can just be able to get access to the Stoneway Castle. They have so many games like the Chrome Racer right there. But see how this is just all closed out. There's nothing really going on over there. This is some kind of space that you could just stand there and just just enjoy the view and just look on. They did have this pool. This is something that's a nice little addition, but this is supposed to fit the beach vibes. And this is going over here by the surfboards. This opens the shortcut to the beach where you can be able to get access to the public space. So the nightclub, you see how everything is closed? You won't even really have to manually run with your avatar if you don't have like a locomotion or whatever. You could just open up the navigation menu and be able to travel to that particular public space. You wouldn't even have to worry about trying to manually get to those spaces and move to where you want to go. See, he's going to the queue. He didn't have to do that. What's his name? Giovanni? Giovanni or Giovanni? Giovanni? Somebody he didn't even have to go there. He probably didn't know. See, he probably didn't know that he could go to the radio space or the queue from just going to the navigation menu. He didn't have to run all the way there. Because from the entrance where you spawn, it's a little bit of distance, but you can just open up the navigation menu. That's the big difference between what we have now in comparison to what we didn't have in the past, because we didn't have these shortcut menus to be able to fast travel to these public spaces without having to run all the way down there. And I think that was just the big difference with the cinema being here and the dance floor and all these different features that we have now and the Nexus and stuff like that. But the Christmas decorations in comparison to the old Nexus is It's just it doesn't look that good. It's not that good in comparison to what the old Nexus had. The old Nexus had a giant candy canes. They had snowmen, igloos, and so much more. Even the music. Let's start talking about the old Nexus real quick. It had better music than what we have now. You just hear the water running, but you get all you won't hear the music in the Nexus until you get over here on the dance floor. But the music in the old Nexus ceased to exist because that music exclusively played in the older Nexus. They didn't have the soundtracks that you have right now. And the soundtracks that we hear today in the modern Nexus or whatever public space that you choose to go to, those are in the other public space. But the old Nexus has its own exclusive soundtrack and music tracks that you guys could be able to hear. And I love listening to those because it was the closest thing to PS home vibes and it's much more relaxing and whatnot. Not saying that the music in the other public spaces like the Cube and the Rave space, they have some of the best songs. But when you go to these different spaces, they have some good music here and there. But just the old Nexus itself having its own exclusive soundtracks was amazing. Something else that I went to watch back some of my older videos from the game. I don't even have one of them reference popped up by going towards the end of this video. You guys could check out. It was a space called it wasn't a space. I was thinking it might have been an upcoming space. It was something called the Central Station. What happened to that? I don't know if anyone else mentioned that and knows of the Central Station. Is the Central Station supposed to be what the steampunk is, what the steampunk public space is today, or is the Central Station supposed to be something else that they were going to work on to come to fruition? Maybe it got scrapped. I don't know if those plans. Was there any initial plans or original plans for a space to be called the Central Station? Because the Central Station itself, in steampunk, has train tracks. You got the trains going back and forth, and you got the tracks all around the public space. So maybe the steampunk space is actually the Central Station. Maybe. I don't know if that was something, because the Central Station was something that was part of. The Central Station was just to the right of the bowling alley, while the bowling alley was near the spawn as well. It was just to the left, but the bowling alley was not available. It was there, but every time you would walk up by the entrance, it would say that it was coming soon. It wasn't ready, and it took quite some time for them to get the bowling alley set for release and public release, because they had so many issues at the time. You couldn't even have the avatar load all the way. If everyone was just a visible avatars, you would see their names, but you wouldn't be able to see the actual player. And it was very hard to really try to chat with anyone because the settings, opening up the settings, and then on the shortcuts menu was the most dangerous thing that you could do in this game, because it would never load, and it would trigger a loading loop, causing you to close the app and try to reload and try to hope that you can get back into the server. So it was just things like that that was really, really insane from the old times. And then another space that really caught my attention, just where I was saying with the mall, there was a mall. It was a giant mall space just behind. It was just behind the dome or the nightclub, whatever you want to call it. It was a mall space, and that also said coming soon. It was as if it was as if they were going to open up the mall to be a public space similar to how we had a mall in PlayStation Home. It's as if they were going to make that a space for everyone to load in to be able to check out and explore. But you see how this shop is here? This might as well not even be here. You got to shop on this. You got to shop from the shortcuts. I mean, the player doesn't have to go there. See what I'm saying? Look at this guy. He's just walking. Is he gonna go to the shop? It looks like he is. He didn't even have to do that. He think he can. Oh, I'm sure he's been playing this game for quite some time. He didn't even have to walk manually to the shop. He should have just pressed the options button on his controller, and he would have opened up the shop to get access to the shortcut. You can get to the shop. You can get to the shop and so much more from opening up the menu. That's why they made it there. So that's what I'm saying. What's the point of having this shop right here if you're not going to be able to explore the contents on the inside? You could just turn this into a public space where the player can access the shop. You can open up some stores and almost similar to be referenced. The Zero District space, for example. See how they got shops in there with all the lights? They got all the lights in there. It's all lit up. And it's like a big giant town full of shops and places that you want to go. Well, all the doors are closed. All the doors are closed where you cannot get inside the shop. You're just running around the space and you can just play the mini game and just enjoy the music as cool as it is there. But they don't really have much to really offer. So that's what I was hoping. That's something that really also caught my eye from just the central station. What was that space supposed to be? And was this mall supposed to be a public space to be accessible to the player? I was just curious about certain things like that. But the old Nexus was so much bigger. You had mobility, you had more freedom to move around, and they had so much more decorations than what we have for this Christmas other day. You got presents and a couple patches of snow, some lights and stuff like that. But the old Nexus puts this Nexus to shame. Hate to say it, because it's so much more. It was so much more that it looked so much better. And yeah, and I'll say this, and just to be open, it was like a journey or adventure just trying to get to the dome because you had to go across two giant bridges just to get to the dome. It didn't have a navigation movie. It didn't have a navigation menu for you to fast travel to get to these spaces. You had to run all the way across to try to get there in succession and hope that you don't crash. But the servers had so many problems because everybody was trying to log in and play at the same time. But it eventually became stable because they started adding more patches and being able to stabilize the server and update the game where people can be able to play and remain on the server. And they eventually opened up the bowling alley, League Park becoming available first before the bowling alley ever existed, ever came to fruition. So it was the League Park, and then it was the League Park, then it was the beach, and then it was the bowling alley eventually to follow for public updates, public space openings. But just the Nexus, it just had that. It had so much more, and I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to bring more back. He just throwing stuff balls. I'm not sure if they're gonna work on a particular brand new Nexus. Are they gonna expand it? Are they gonna open it up? But the older Nexus definitely had so much better stuff. They had clothing shops at the entrance. They could have just opened those up to have the player explore. That would have been something really cool to really see happen. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it now. It can look the same, but just for they could keep it the same size, but I'm sure it's gonna look so much more different than what we have. Some of the trees in this even looks like they got the remaster almost. Almost. See that tree at the top? This one right here? It looks better than some of the other trees. Like they got the remaster. Like parts of the tree got the remake, part of the makeover or something. But I definitely prefer the old Nexus. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back. I wish they would. Hopefully they'll consider implementing a mall public space. That'll be something I would like to see happen. And then more activities. Maybe they can, even though it might not change, if they don't change the Nexus, let's open it up for more activity. And they don't really have to take things out of the game. They can just update them to expand the multiplayer mini games to give the player more to do. Add on to the multiplayer, add on to the mini games so that it expands to a multiplayer experience. And just like I said, with the beach, you got surfing. You can expand the water or the sea so you can be able to do racing with jet skis and be able to earn rewards and have fun in these personal spaces instead of just bringing them out. So they can really be able to expand these spaces, even if they decide to keep it the same size, maybe just bring more activity so people can be able to stay and want to continue to play to experience the game for what it is. And when they do stuff like that, I'll be on the game a little bit more often. But I'm hardly on here because there's nothing else going on. And just as you can see, it's so difficult to even try to move. Why do I hear snow? You hear that snow? Hear that? Hear that? I'm like somebody throwing snowballs. You could probably hear the guy that was throwing snowballs at the entrance of the Nexus at the spawn area, just throwing snowballs. It's like a nightmare. See, that's something that needs to be fixed too. Hear that? But which one do you guys prefer, the old Nexus or the new Nexus? And it can be, they're both good in their own way, but the old Nexus seems to have offered more, and it just seems like the only major difference is that this new Nexus has the cinema, it has all these different features, and everything is closer, so you don't have to run as far to get to where you want to go to from point A to point B. But you have the purpose of the whole purpose of the navigation menu is to save you that time. So if they had the navigation menu in this game, since it's in the game, you may as well just you may as well have not have brought everything closer because the player can be able to get easily get to these spaces without having to move a without having to take a single step. They can just do all the button mechanics and do all the work from the controllers from just a measly press of what 2 to 3 buttons to get to the public spaces or wherever they want to go, personal spaces, or if they get invited by someone, they can join someone from their friends. Two presses, open up the friends list, wait for the friends list to load, click on the name, and join. That's 3 buttons. Join to space if the server's not full from your friends or your group and stuff like that. You can just join. That's 3 buttons. You don't have to move. You don't even have to run, nothing. You just stand still, spawn in, open up the menu, get up in there, right up into the space, and get where you want to go. But definitely the old Nexus for me. I don't know if they're gonna ever bring it back, but even if they don't, I'm cool with it. Hopefully they'll be able to expand and bring more games, so people will want to stay in these spaces.